All right, this is question number 3 from 2004 FRQ Calculus, AB. The function f is defined from -5 to 4. You can see that right there, closed interval. The graph of f, that's the graph, consists of 3 line segments. There's 1, 2, and 3, and is in the figure above. G is a whole new function created by using f. And as you notice, the question has a lot to do with g. So if we want to find g of 3, well, what that means is you go to this function and simply plug in 3. So we are simply going to do the integral from -3 to 3, because x is 3 of f of t dt. Again, you are simply plugging that 3 into the x right there. So what it's saying is find the area from -3 to 3 of f. So what is it going to be? Well, -3 to 3 isn't going to be all that area and a little bit more. Right there, that's from -3 to 3. I want that area. And that's what it's asking. So can you find the area? Are those just triangles? So the area of this one, what's the base and the height? Well, isn't it a base of 4? 5. So it's 5 times the height is at 4. 4 divided by 2 plus, what's this little one right here? Well, isn't that going to be negative? And then isn't it 1 times 2 divided by 2? Aren't they both triangles? So this one's going to be a 5 by 4 divided by 2, and then 1 times 2 divided by 2, but this is negative. So when we do that, we got 20 divided by 2 is 10. 2 divided by 2 is 1, but we're going to minus it. So that gives us 9 units, or an answer of 9. So the answer for g of 3 is 9. What if it asked for g prime of 3? That's another question, but that's not this one. Next problem. On what open interval contained in this is the graph of g both increasing and concave down? So increasing and concave down. And it wants reason for your answer. When it says that g is increasing and concave down, I need to convert g's into f's. So the first thing you need to do on this is you need to know that g prime, well, if g equals this, what's g prime going to be? Isn't it the derivative of that? And the derivative of this, isn't that called the second fundamental theorem of calculus? The derivative of this is simply going to be f of x. So can you also say then that g double prime x is going to be the derivative of f? So you know both these things starts it off. So if I'm asking for g increasing and concave down, aren't we asking for when g increasing means I want g double prime? Don't I want to know where g prime x is increasing? Wouldn't that be greater than 0? And aren't we also asking for g double prime x concave down? Isn't that being less than 0? Now, can we convert those? Instead of g double prime, can I call that f of x less than 0 and f prime x less than 0? I think I said that wrong, but I wrote it right. Aren't we? Isn't g prime really f? Isn't g double prime f prime? So isn't this what we're trying to find? So look at your graph. Where is this true? Where is f positive and where is f increasing? Doesn't this mean increasing? Oh, no, it doesn't mean increasing. What does it mean? Decreasing. And this one, it means just positive. It means above the x-axis. So can you find the intervals where the graph is above the x-axis and is decreasing going downhill? So where is it positive and decreasing? Right here. It's positive, right? This interval, is it positive? Is it above the x-axis, and is it going downhill? So that right there is yes, it is. So we're going to take that interval. Let's look at this one. Is this one positive, but it's going uphill? It's increasing. We went decreasing, right? So not that one. How about here? Is that positive? And is it decreasing? Well, yes, it is. So I have another interval right there. And down here, it's negative, so it doesn't even hold for the first part. So those two red parts are what they're asking for here. So my answer would be for this one, I got to put it above here, would be two open intervals. You could do it in two different notations. I'm going to just say from -5 to -3. Is that look right? And from 0 to 2. That would be the answer to that problem. And I'm running out of space. I can't really write the reason, but this right here is part of your reason. And you use this idea saying, well, on this interval, f is both positive, greater than 0, and f prime is less than 0. Maybe using the word decreasing, but you need the word f and f prime, and maybe this original statements are kind of important to have there to show where your statements come from. Alrighty, so this one, function h, oh, a new function is this. So what is h prime 3? Oh. Okay, so don't we have to take the derivative of h? You might think that's kind of weird, but you can do that. It's not as bad as you think. We have to use quotient rule. So h prime x is a quotient rule. So we're going to take the derivative of the top, which is going to be g prime x, times the bottom, which is 5x. Okay, and then you're going to, those are both together. Then you're going to minus, don't you leave the top, which is g of x, times the derivative of the bottom, isn't that going to be 5? All over the derivative of the bottom. What's the derivative of 5x? It's not the derivative of the bottom. All over the bottom squared. I must mess that up. Is that the derivative of h? Okay, now can we simply plug in 3? Can we simply go and plug 3 everywhere? So, okay, h prime 3 is just saying, okay, what's g prime 3 times 5 times 3 minus g of 3 times 5 all over 5 times 3 squared. And can you do all that math? If you do all that math, you do all the crunching, you get -1/3. So your answer would be -1/3 once you just crunch all those numbers. Okay, now, maybe I shouldn't say that. I kind of jumped the gun there. Somebody say, what is this answer? How do you find this? I look right there. Is that answer given? CG3? But how do you find G prime 3? Ooh, that's a little tricky. So how do you find G prime 3? We look at 3. What's the slope? Isn't G just saying this function? Isn't G prime f? Well, I said it wrong. It's not slope, is it? Isn't G prime 3 going to be f of 3? Got it right here. This from this statement here. So G prime 3 is f of 3. So at 3, what's f? Does that look like -2? See it right there? So -2. So G prime 3 equals -2. G of 3 was 9. We already did that problem. And by the way, they love using previous problems on tests, so be careful. They stole that answer. Look for it sometimes. It's like, is it here already? Okay, good. And then if you crunch it, you should get that. Last problem. Function p. Yay, another function. P is, f of x squared minus x. Find the slope of the line tangent to the graph of p at -1. Aren't they basically saying, what is the slope of the line tangent? Are they basically saying find p prime -1? Do you guys understand this is really just saying p prime -1? Couldn't you just say that? Okay. How do we get that? Don't we have to find p? Well, sorry, p prime. So p prime, when you look at this, you have to notice that's a composite. It's a chain rule. So I'm going to do chain rule to this. So to do chain rule to that, I'm going to call it derive the outside. So I leave the outside, so f prime, and I leave the inside. So I derived f, left x squared minus 2x, times the derivative of the inside. What's the derivative of this inside? 2x minus 1. That is the derivative of p. Derivative of the outside, leave the inside, times the derivative of the inside. Now here, how do you find p prime negative 1? Well, can you just put negative 1 into all those x's? So I'm going to do it down here. This is just going to be f prime. Well, that'd be negative 1 squared minus a negative 1. Okay, times 2 times negative 1 minus 1. And if you do the math, what do we get inside of f prime? Is that a 2? F prime 2. And what's the other number going to get? Isn't that going to be negative 3? And can you find those values? Can you find f prime 2? I'm not saying the slope at 2. Can you go to the graph at 2 and see the slope? Can you calculate that slope right there? Just find any this dot and this dot, any dots you want, just find the slope of that line. And then can you multiply that answer by negative 3 and get your answer? And if you do that, you end up with the slope is negative 2, and that times the negative 3, which your answer is 6. That is your answer.